The WRC is in Bulgaria for the first time. The tarmac roads that wind around the Rila Mountains are the setting for round 7 of the World Rally Championship, and this has been the scene for a display of muscle by Citroën. Through the first morning, they held the top 5 positions. Not surprisingly, it was Sébastien Loeb who led the way, while Sébastien Ogier and Dani Sordo were fighting it out for second place. And former Formula 1 world champion Kimi Räikkönen was also looking at home on the surface, which is more familiar to him. He was showing lots of pace in 5th position. In contrast, Ford were struggling. Despite an extensive testing program, they could not match the C4s. Hirvonen lost more than 40 seconds to the rally leader over the morning stages, while Jari-Matti Latvala was another 5 seconds off Loeb's time. They did stage a minor fight back on the afternoon stages and were maybe encouraged by a reversal of fortune for their French rivals. First, Sébastien Ogier went off the road on stage 3, losing nearly a minute and second place.
I didn't understand the note, and we go straight and we go out the road.
Then on the following stage, Kimi Räikkönen's fine run came to a shuddering halt.
I just went too fast in the braking and couldn't stop, and there's a little bit sand, so I couldn't turn it, and just tried to with the handbrake, but it just was too much speed, so we flipped it on the roof in the ditch.
The car was in a mess, but it was repairable, which meant a late night for Kimi's service crew to get him back into the rally today. So no Kimi Räikkönen on the leaderboard, but it's still 3 Citroëns at the top. Loeb leads Sordo by 28.1 seconds, while Petter Solberg is a further 10 seconds back in 3rd. The Fords of Hirvonen and Latvala are 4th and 5th, but Ogier, despite his off, is still close behind. This is where the action is happening today. Bulgaria is in the southeastern corner of Europe. The rally is based in the town of Borovets, about an hour's drive from the nation's capital, Sofia. There are 6 stages today, totaling just under 141 kilometres, and here's a bit more information about what lies ahead. The second day of Rally Bulgaria sees a loop of 3 long stages repeated once. Sestrimo is an uphill blast, climbing from 500 metres to 1900 at the finish. While the third test used on day 3, Lubnitsa, is a stunning road through a gorge for 25 kilometres of challenging Bulgarian tarmac. So it's back to the action, and with much of the first stage still damp after overnight rain, for the first time this weekend, the teams have a pivotal decision to make regarding tyre choice. The obvious selection for this opening stage in these cool, wet conditions is to use Pirelli's soft compound tyre, which is exactly what Citroën and rally leader Sébastien Loeb have gone for. Rally Bulgaria is back underway. You can clearly see some damp patches on the ground there. With a lead of almost half a minute over his teammate Dani Sordo, the world champion is in a fairly comfortable position as day 2 begins. The Sestrimo stage is another mountain climb, and just look at the views here as Dani Sordo screams through the gorge. Sordo, of course, is no slouch on asphalt and has proved several times over the last few years that he's more than capable of winning on this surface. For now, though, his focus will be on maintaining his second place ahead of Petter Solberg. Solberg, in his first event with new co-driver Chris Patterson, is more than happy with his start in his second ever tarmac rally in the C4. The Norwegian declared at the end of day 1 there is still more to come in terms of speed, but selecting a setup a little too stiff for these damp conditions, he's not able to attack as much as he'd like on this opening stage.
Extra long tightens 80, the line in the 6 right half long tightens 5, deep and neat 70.
Strangely, despite the wet, cool weather, Ford have stuck with the hard compound tyre. Perhaps gambling the roads will dry out in the following 2 stages. Mikko Hirvonen does not seem at all comfortable through these treacherous damp roads. He's clearly struggling for grip, and this may have been a bad call by the team. Mikko could lose a lot of time in stage 5. Very tentative on the brakes there. Latvala too is driving on the hard compound tyre, and like his teammate, he's really in trouble on the wet asphalt. Already trailing the leading Citroens, this is the last thing the team needed. It's more good news for rally leader Sebastian Loeb though. Frenchman is well on his way through the stage. He's into the narrow, bumpier roads further up the mountain. Really difficult to judge the exit of the corners in this tunnel of vegetation. But Seb is still totally in control and totally committed. This could turn out to be a crucial stage in the outcome of this rally. Danny Sordo is also dealing with the damp roads well on his soft compound tyres, and the two leading Citroens are on course to set incredible times. Further back, Mikko Hirvonen continues to tiptoe his way through these tricky tree-lined roads. Unable to get any heat into the tyres, he's still off the pace. And just look at his time compared to Loeb's here. Quite misty at the top of the mountain here too. Oh dear, over 1 minute and 5 seconds off the pace. Latvala's time has been just as bad. An awful start to the day for Ford.
Nico, a huge amount of time lost. What are we going to put that down to?
Well, we had a bit wrong with the information, and we had a hard tyre on. So that's it. I mean, for sure, I tried to come as fast as I could, but there's just no grip, so I couldn't do any better.
It makes that much difference.
It does, yeah.
Ford's tyre choice has also played into the hands of Sébastien Ogier. The Frenchman began the morning in 6th, but only 20 seconds behind Hirvonen. With both Ford's Finns off the pace, the Citroën Junior man should have a fairly straightforward run back into the top 4. Yep, 43.1 seconds quicker than Hirvonen. Ogier leapfrogs both Fords to move up 2 places in one stage.
I think we make the good choice of tires, and okay, for me this morning it was no risk. When I saw the split of the Ford guys, I slowed down a bit, and it was absolutely no risk.
There is more good news for the Citroën Junior team. Their impressive efforts overnight to get Raikkonen's car roadworthy were not in vain. The Finnish star is immediately back on the pace, setting an impressive 5th fastest time in stage 6.
50, oikein 4 täys 20, lyhyt vasen 3 jätä, jatkuu vasen 3 pirun pitkä.
So Ford's frustrating start to the day means it's a Citroën top 4 again. Loeb now leads by over 33 seconds from Sordo, with Solberg in 3rd and Ogier up to 4th. Hirvonen and Latvala slipped to 5th and 6th. 5 more stages to go today, and the battle on the Bulgarian tarmac continues after this break. We have 2 more stages to run in the Rila Mountains before another service break. Sebastian Loeb continues to lead the way by a healthy advantage of 33.5 seconds over his teammate Danny Sordo. And we've joined the Spaniard now as he tackles the 18 kilometres of the Pestera stage. Another uphill climb to begin this test, but for the last 9 kilometres or so, it's a flat-out descent. Hundreds of fans lining the stage here. The Bulgarian public have really appreciated their country's arrival in the WRC. Danny seems really dialed into these sweeping bends, and little wonder, very similar to Sordo's home event at the Rally Catalunya here. Sordo has a terrific run through stage 6 and finally breaks Loeb's monopoly of stage wins. Danny claiming the fastest time by 3.5 seconds.
derechacito, poco sucio, fin para izquierda.
Further back in the stage, Mikko Hirvonen is trying to make up some time after a frustrating start to the day. With the roads now dry, Mikko's hard compound tyres are better suited to these conditions, and he has a lot more grip than the opening stage. A terrific view of the surface here. The tarmac is fairly smooth, but plenty of bumps still throwing the car around. Hirvonen flashing past the undergrowth as he clips the apex of each corner to carry as much speed through as possible. Hirvonen is still slower than the leaders, but a lot more competitive than he was in stage 5. Pegan Andersson has made an impressive and controlled start on his first ever rally in a Ford Focus WRC car. The Stobart Ford man is not at his best on tarmac, but is beginning to find some pace. PG is 6th fastest in the first run through Pestera and is quicker than Mikko Hirvonen. As the crews make their way through rural Bulgaria, it's a strange sight for these normally sleepy villages as the roar of World Rally power pass by. Fascinating afternoon for the intrigued locals as the world's best rally drivers move on to stage 7. Unfortunately, this new event is a victim of its own popularity. The organisers are forced to cancel the first run through the Lubnista stage. With large numbers of spectators trying to gain late access to the end of the stage, there is little choice but to cancel the section, and the drivers all pass through at road speed. This is where we stand then as the crews head back to the service park. Loeb's lead has been trimmed slightly, but still stands at exactly 30 seconds. Petter Solberg has slipped adrift of Danny Sordo, with Ogier 4th ahead of the 2 Fords.